Chapter 8. A budget. This is okay. I can handle a budget easily. In fact, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be quite liberating knowing exactly how much I can spend. Plus, everyone knows the point about budgets is that you make them work for you. Exactly. So, how much is my budget for today? I say, hovering by the study door. It's about an hour later, and Luke is searching for something in his desk. He looks a bit stressed. I'm sorry, he says without looking up. I was just wondering what my budget is for today. About 20 pounds? I guess so, Luke says distractedly. So, can I have it? What? Can I have my 20 pounds? Luke stares at me for a moment as though I'm completely mad, then takes his wallet out of his pocket, gets out a 20-pound note, and hands it to me. Okay. Fine, thanks. I look at the note. 20 pounds. That's my challenge. I feel like some wartime housewife being given her ration book. It's a very weird feeling not having my own income or a job for 3 months. How am I going to survive 3 whole months? Should I get some other job to fill the space? Maybe this is a great opportunity, it occurs to me. I could try something completely new. I have a sudden image of myself as a landscape gardener. I could buy some really cool Wellingtons and specialize in shrubs. Or, yes, I could start up some company offering a unique service that no one has ever provided and make millions. Everyone would say, Becky's a genius. Why didn't we think of that? And the unique service would consist of... Okay, I'll come back to that one. Then, as I watch Luke putting some papers in a branding communications folder, I'm seized by a brilliant idea. Of course, I can help him in his work. I mean, that's the whole point of marriage. It should be a partnership. I can get totally involved in the running of his company, like Hillary Clinton, and everyone will know it's really me who has all the good ideas. I have a vision of myself standing by Luke's side in a pastel suit, beaming radiantly, while ticker tape rains down on us. Luke, listen, I say, I want to help. Help? He looks up with an absent frown. I want to help you out with the business. Becky, I'm not sure. I really want to support you, and I'm free for 3 months. It's perfect. You wouldn't even have to pay me very much. Luke looks slightly gobsmacked. What exactly would you do? Well, I don't know yet, I admit, but I could inject some new thoughts, maybe on marketing. Like the time I came up with that slogan for Forlin Investments. You said I was really useful then. And when I came on that press tour to France and I rewrote that media release for you, remember that? Luke's barely listening. Sweetheart, we're really busy with this Arcodis pitch. I haven't got time to take you in. Maybe after the pitch is over. It wouldn't take time, I say in astonishment. I'd save you time. I'd be a help. You once offered me a job, remember? I know I did, but taking on a real full-time job is a bit different from filling in for 3 months. If you want to change careers, that's different. He goes back to sorting through his papers. He is making a big mistake. Everyone knows companies have to cross-pollinate with other industries. My personal shopping experience would probably be invaluable to him, not to mention my background as a financial journalist. As I'm watching, Luke tries to put a file away and bumps his shin on a wooden carton full of sorries. Jesus Christ, he says irritably, Becky, if you really want to help me. Yes, I say eagerly. You can tidy up this apartment. Here I am, prepared to devote myself to Luke's company, and he thinks I should tidy up. I heft a wooden carton onto the slate coffee table and prise the lid off with a knife. And white foam peanuts cascade out everywhere like snowflakes. I dig through the foam and pull out a bubble wrap parcel. For a few seconds I peer at it blankly, then suddenly I remember. These are the hand-painted eggs from Japan. Each one depicts a scene from the Legend of the Dragon King. I think I bought 5. I wipe my brow and I glance at my watch. I've been at it now for a whole hour. And to be honest, the room doesn't look any better than before. In fact, it looks worse. As I survey the clutter, I'm suddenly full of gloom. What I need is a cup of coffee, yes. I head out to the kitchen, already feeling lighter, and turn the kettle on. Maybe I'll have a biscuit too. I open one of the stainless steel cupboards, find the tin, select a biscuit, and put the tin away again. Every single movement makes a little clanging sound that echoes through the silence. Gosh, it's quiet in here, isn't it? We need to get a radio. I trail my fingers over the granite worktop with a gusty sigh. Maybe I'll give Mom a ring and have a nice chat. Except she's being all weird. I tried phoning home the other day and she sounded all shifty and said she had to go because the chimney sweep was there. Like we've ever had a chimney sweep in all my life. She probably had people viewing the house or something. I could phone Suze. No, not Suze. Or Danny. Danny was my best friend when we lived in New York. He was a struggling fashion designer then, but all of a sudden, he's doing really well. I've even seen his name in Vogue, but I haven't spoken to him since we got back. It's not a great time to be calling New York, but that's okay. Danny never keeps regular hours. I dial his number and wait impatiently as it rings. Greetings. Hi, I say, Danny. It's welcome to the ever-expanding Danny Kovitz empire. Oh, right, it's a machine. For Danny's fashion tips, press 1. To receive a catalog, press 2. If you wish to send Danny a gift or invite him to a party, press 3. I wait till the list comes to an end and a beep sounds. Hi, I say, Danny, it's Becky. I'm back. So, give me a ring sometime. I give him my number, then put down the receiver. The kettle comes to a noisy boil, and I briskly start spooning grounds into the coffee pot, thinking of who else to call. But there's no one. The truth is, I haven't lived in London for 2 years, and I've kind of lost touch with most of my old friends. I'm lonely, pops into my head with no warning. No, I'm not. I'm fine. I wish we'd never come home. Don't be silly, it's all great. I'm a married woman with my own home and plenty to be getting on with. Suddenly the buzzer rings and I look up in surprise. I'm not expecting anyone. It's probably a package. Or maybe Luke decided to come home early. I walk out into the hall and pick up the entry phone. Hello? Becky, love? Crackles a familiar voice. It's Mom. I gape at the receiver. Mom, downstairs? Dad and I have come to see you, she continues. Is it all right if we pop up? Of course, I exclaim in bemusement and hit the buzzer. What on earth are Mom and Dad doing here? I quickly go into the kitchen, pour out the coffee, and arrange some biscuits on a plate, then hurry back out to the lift. Hi, I say as the doors open. Come on in, I've made you some coffee. As I hug Mom and Dad, I can see them glancing at each other apprehensively. They're both dressed quite smartly, and Mom has even got on the pearl brooch she normally wears to weddings. What is going on? What? I hope we're not disturbing you, love, Mom says as she follows me into the flat. No, of course not, I say. I mean, obviously I have my chores, things to be getting on with. Oh, yes, Mom nods. Well, we don't want to take up your time. It's just... She breaks off. Shall we go and sit down? I glance through the door of the sitting room. The sofa is surrounded by boxes spilling their contents and covered in rugs and foam peanuts. We haven't quite got the sitting room straight yet. Let's go in the kitchen. Whoever designed our trendy kitchen bar stools obviously never had their parents come over for a cup of coffee. It takes Mom and Dad about 5 minutes to climb up onto them, while I watch, completely petrified they're going to topple over. Spindly legs, aren't they? Puffs Dad as he tries for the 5th time. Meanwhile, Mom's inching slowly onto the seat, gripping the granite breakfast bar for dear life. At last, somehow, they're both perched up safely on the steel seats, looking all self-conscious as though they're on a TV talk show. Are you all right? I say anxiously, because I could go and get some different chairs. Nonsense, says Dad at once. This is very comfy. He's lying. I can see him clenching his hands around the edges of the slippery seat and glancing down at the slate floor below as though he's balanced on a 44th floor ledge. The seats are a little hard, aren't they, love? Ventures Mom. You should get some nice tie-on cushions from Peter Jones. Maybe. I hand Mom and Dad their cups, pull out a bar stool for myself, and nonchalantly swing myself up onto it. Ow, that hurt. Gosh, they are a bit tricky to get onto. Stupid, shiny seats. So, are you both well? I say, reaching for my coffee. There's a short silence. Becky, we came here for a reason, says Dad. I have something to tell you. He looks so grave, I feel worried. Maybe it's not the house after all. Maybe it's something worse. It's to do with me, he continues. You're ill, I say, before I can stop myself. Oh gosh. I knew there was something wrong. I'm not ill. It's not that. It's something else. He massages his temples and looks up. Becky, years ago. Break it to her gently, Graham. Mom interrupts. I am breaking it to her gently, retorts Dad, swiveling round. That's exactly what I'm doing. You're not, says Mom. You're rushing in. Now I'm totally bewildered. Break what to me gently? I say, looking from face to face. What's going on? Becky, before I met your mother, Dad avoids my gaze. There is another lady in my life. Right, I say, my throat thick. Mom and Dad are getting divorced, and that's why they're selling the house. I'm going to be the product of a broken home. We lost touch, Dad continues, but recently events have occurred. You're confusing her, Graham, exclaims Mom. I'm not confusing her. Becky, are you confused? Well, a bit, I admit. Mom leans over and takes my hand. Becky, love, the long and the short of it is, you have a sister. A sister? I stare at her blankly. What's she talking about? A half-sister, we should say, Dad adds, nodding earnestly. 2 years older than you. My brain is short-circuiting. This doesn't make any sense. How could I have a sister and not know about it? Dad has a daughter, darling, Mom says gently. A daughter he knew nothing about until very recently. She got in touch with us while you were on honeymoon. We've seen each other a few times, haven't we, Graham? She glances at Dad, who nods. She's very nice. The kitchen is completely silent. I swallow a few times. I can't quite take this in. Dad has another child? Dad had another... So, I falter, who is this other lady in your life? I can't believe I'm asking my own father about his love life, even if it is his love life of 30 years ago. Dad doesn't flinch at the question. Her name was Marguerite, he says with a steadfast gaze. I was traveling a lot for business then, and she was a stewardess on the 740 London to Carlisle train. A stewardess on a train. I have a sudden image of a young dad sitting in a pale 1970s suit with flappy lapels, smiling up at a uniform girl as she pours him coffee. She brushes against him as she moves the trolley on. Okay, I'm not sure I want to think about this. Daddy was very handsome then, Mom puts in, when he had his mustache. I gape at her. Dad had a mustache? Gosh, how many secrets does our family have? Then, all of a sudden, it hits me. That girl! The day we got back, my head is pounding. The one you were with, was it? Mom glances at Dad, who nods. That was her, your half-sister. She was visiting us. When we saw you, love, we didn't know what to do, says Mom with an anxious laugh. We didn't want to give you the shock of your life. We decided we'd tell you when you'd settled in a bit, chimes in Dad. When you'd got a bit sorted out. Now I feel totally dazed. That was her. I've seen my half-sister. What's her name, I manage. Her name's Jessica, says Dad after a pause. Jessica Bertram. Jessica. My sister Jessica. Hi, have you met my sister Jessica? I look from Dad's worried face to Mom's bright, hopeful eyes, and suddenly I feel very weird. It's like a bubble is rising up inside me. Like a load of really strong emotions are pushing their way out of my body. I'm not an only child. I have my own sister. I have a sister. I have a sister. Like Nietzsche. Chapter 9. For the past week, I haven't been able to sleep or concentrate on anything. All I can think about is the fact that I have a real blood sister. At first, I felt totally shaken up. It's okay for Mom and Dad. They've had weeks to get used to the idea. But to find out Dad had an affair years ago and got somebody pregnant? I never thought Dad was like that, to be honest. But he's been really sweet about it. The day he and Mom came around to tell me, he could see I was a bit shell-shocked. So he sat down on the sofa with me and told the whole story. He kept reiterating that this all happened before he even met Mom, and that he had no idea he'd fathered a child. Apparently, Marguerite, the stewardess, broke off the relationship with no warning. Dad got on the train one Monday morning, and she just wasn't there. Another stewardess told him she'd had a whirlwind romance and married another passenger who owned a frozen food business. Dad was so crushed, he started taking another train, and then they moved his work to Birmingham. And that was the end of it. He had no idea there was a baby. But there was a little girl called Jessica. All my life, without knowing it, I've had a sister, growing up miles away, with no idea I existed either. And today, at last, I'm going to meet her. Just the thought makes me feel exhilarated and jumpy all at once. How will we be the same? How will we be different? What will her voice be like? What will her clothes be like? Do I look okay? I asked Luke, while anxiously surveying my appearance in the mirror. We're in my old bedroom at my parents' house, and I'm putting the finishing touches to meeting my long-lost sister outfit. It's taken me several days, but after a lot of thought, I've decided on my most flattering 7 jeans, some boots with spiky heels, a gorgeous pale pink Marc Jacobs jacket, and a t-shirt made ages ago for me by Danny. You look great, Luke says patiently. It's like balancing formal with informal, I explain. So the jacket says, "This is a special occasion," whereas the jeans say, "We're sisters, we can be relaxed with each other." And the t-shirt says, I pause. Actually, I'm not sure what the t-shirt says, apart from, "I'm friends with Danny Kovitz." And I'm not even sure how true that is anymore. He hasn't called back, even though I've left 2 messages. "Becky," says Luke, "I don't honestly think it matters what you wear." "What?" I wheel around in disbelief. "Of course it matters. This is one of the most important moments of my life. I'll always remember what I was wearing the day I met my sister for the first time. I mean, you remember what you were doing when you met me for the first time, don't you?" Luke looks blank. He doesn't remember? How can he not remember? "Well, I remember," I say crossly. "You were wearing a gray suit and a white shirt and a dark green Hermes tie. And I was wearing my short black skirt and my suede boots and that awful white top which made my arms look fat." "If you say so." Luke raises his eyebrows. I smooth down my t-shirt. "I just want to look right, like a sister." "What do sisters look like?" Luke asks, looking amused. "They look fun," I think for a moment, "and friendly and supportive, and like they'll tell you if your bra strap is showing." "Then you do look exactly like a sister." Luke kisses me. "Becky, relax. It's going to be fine." I know I'm a bit wound up, but I just can't get over the idea of having a sister after being an only child for so long. Not that I've minded being on my own or anything. Mom and Dad and I have always had a great time together. But sometimes I've heard other people talking about their brothers and sisters and wonder what it was like. I never thought I would actually get to find out. What's really spooky is that all this week I've suddenly been noticing sisters. They're everywhere. For example, the film of Little Women was on telly the other afternoon, and right after was a program about the Beverly Sisters. And every time I've seen 2 women together in the street, instead of just noticing what they were wearing, I've thought, are they sisters? It's like there's a whole world of sisters out there, and finally, I'm part of it. I feel smarting in my eyes and blink hard. It's ridiculous, but ever since I heard about Jessica, my emotions have been all over the place. Last night I was reading this brilliant book called Long Lost Sisters, The Love They Never Knew They Had, and tears were streaming down my cheeks. The stories were just amazing. One was about these 3 Russian sisters who were in the same concentration camp during the war, but didn't know it. Then there was this woman who was told her sister had been killed, but she would never believe it. And then she got cancer and there was no one to look after her 3 children, but they found the sister alive just in time for them to say goodbye. Oh gosh, I'm going to cry just thinking about it. I take a deep breath and wander over to the table where I've put my present for Jessica. It's a big basket full of Origins bath stuff, plus some chocolates, plus a little photo album of pictures of me when I was little. I also got her a silver bean necklace from Tiffany, which exactly matches mine. But Luke said it might be a bit overwhelming presenting her with jewelry on our first meeting, which I didn't really understand. I mean, I'd love it if someone gave me a Tiffany necklace, but he was really insistent, so I said I'd keep it for later. I run my eyes over the basket, slightly dissatisfied. Should I maybe... The present is fine, says Luke, just as I open my mouth. You don't need to add any more. How did he know what I was going to say? Okay, I say reluctantly. I look at my watch and feel a swoop of excitement. Not long now. She'll be here soon. The plan is, Jessica's going to phone when her train gets into Akshat Station. Then Dad will go and pick her up. It's pure coincidence that she's going to be in London this week. She lives in Cumbria, which is miles away, but apparently she was coming down anyway for an academic conference. So she's come down a day early, especially to meet me. Becky, before all the excitement starts, I wanted to have a quick word on the subject of our honeymoon purchases. Oh, right. I feel a twinge of resentment. Why does Luke have to bring this up now? This is a special day. There should be a general reprieve from all arguments, like in the war when they played football on Christmas Day. Not that we're at war or anything, but we did have a bit of a row yesterday when Luke found the 20 Chinese dressing gowns under the bed, and he keeps asking me when I'm going to sort out the apartment. I just wanted to let you know that I've spoken to the furniture merchant, says Luke. They'll be coming by on Monday to take away the Danish table. Oh, right, I say, sheepishly, thanks. So, are they giving us a full refund? Almost. Oh, well, so we didn't do too badly in the end. No, we didn't, agrees Luke. Unless you count the storage costs, the delivery costs, the expense of packaging it all up again. Right, I say hurriedly, of course. Well, anyway, all's well that ends well. I try a conciliatory smile, but Luke's not even looking. He's opening up his briefcase and pulling out a wad of, oh gosh, credit card bills. My secret code red emergency bills, to be exact. Luke asked for them the other day, and I had no choice but to get them out of their hiding place. I was kind of hoping he'd be too busy to read them, though. Right, I say, my voice slipping up 2 notches. So you've seen those then? I've paid them all off, Luke says shortly. Have you cut up the card? Yes, and thank you for paying them off, I add humbly. Luke gives me a hard look. Have you really cut it up? Yes, I threw the pieces in the bin. Okay. Luke turns back to the bills. And there isn't anything else to come? Anything you've paid for recently? I feel a tiny clenching in my stomach. No, I say, that's all. I can't tell him about the angel bag. I just can't. He still thinks all I bought in Milan was a present for him. That's about my only redeeming feature right now. And anyway, I can pay it off myself, no problem. I mean, in 3 months I'll have a job and my own income. It'll be easy. To my slight relief, my mobile phone starts ringing. I scrabble in my bag and pull it out. Sue's number is flashing on the display. Sue's. At once I feel a gigantic leap of nerves and a familiar hurt starting to rise inside me. I haven't spoken once to Sue since I left her house. She hasn't called, and neither have I. If she's all busy and happy with a fab new life, then so be it. She doesn't even know I've got a sister. I press the green button and take a deep breath. Hi, Suze, I exclaim in airy tones. How are you? How's the family? I'm fine, says Suze. We're all fine, you know. Same old. And how's Lulu? I say lately, I expect you two have been busy doing lots of fun things together. She's fine, Sue sounds awkward. Listen, Bex, about that, I cut her off. Actually, I've got a bit of exciting news of my own. Guess what? It turns out I've got a long-lost sister. There's a shocked silence. What? Sue says at last. It's true. I've got a half-sister that I never knew about. I'm meeting her today for the first time. She's called Jessica. I can't believe it. Sue sounds totally poleaxed. You've got a sister? How come? My dad. Before he met my mom, it's quite a long story. But isn't it great? I've always wanted a sister. How old is she? Only 2 years older than me, hardly any difference. I expect we'll become really good friends, I add carelessly. In fact, we'll be much closer than friends. I mean, we've got the same blood and everything. We'll have a lifelong bond. Yes, Sue says after a pause. I suppose you will. Anyway, I must go. She'll be here any moment. I can't wait. Well, good luck. Have fun. We certainly will, I say brightly. Oh, and do give my love to Lulu. Have a lovely birthday with her, won't you? I will, says Sue, sounding defeated. Bye, Bex, and congratulations. As I switch off the phone, I'm a bit hot about the face. Susan and I have never been like this with each other before. But she's the one who went out and got a new best friend, not me. I thrust my mobile phone back into my bag and I look up to see Luke regarding me with a raised eyebrow. Sue's all right? She's fine, I say, a little defiantly, shaking my hair back. Come on. As I come down the stairs, Sue's hurt voice lingers in my mind, but I try to ignore it. I can't spend time dwelling on her. I've got important things to focus on. Jessica will be arriving here soon. This is one of the biggest days of my life, ever. All set, says Mom, as we go into the kitchen. She's wearing a smart blue dress and is wearing her special occasion makeup. She uses lots of shiny highlighter under her eyebrows to open up the eyes. I've seen it in the makeup book Janice gave her for Christmas. Did I hear you say you're selling some furniture? She adds as she turns on the kettle. We're returning a table, Luke says easily. We seem to have ordered 2 by mistake, but it's been taken care of. Only I was going to say you should sell it on eBay, says Mom. You'd get a good price. eBay. So, you can sell anything on eBay, can you? I ask casually. Oh, yes, says Mom. Anything at all. Like, say, hand-painted eggs depicting the legends of the Dragon King. Yes, this is the answer. It'll solve everything. I have to stop myself from punching the air with glee. It's exciting, isn't it, love? Says Mom, watching me fondly. So I'll have some nice coffee while we're waiting. We all involuntarily glance at the clock. Jessica's train should arrive in Oxshott in 5 minutes. 5 minutes! Toodaloo! There's a knocking at the back door, and we all look round to see Janice peering through the glass. Oh, my goodness. Where did she get that sparkly blue eyeshadow? Please don't let her give any to Mom, I find myself praying. Come on in, Janice, says Mom, opening the door. And Tom, what a nice surprise. Blimey, Tom's looking rough. His hair is rumpled and unwashed. His hands are all blistered and cut, and there's a deep furrow in his brow. We just came to wish you luck, says Janice. Not that you need it. She pops her box of Canderel sugar substitute down on the counter, then turns to look at me. So, Becky, a sister. Congratulations, says Tom, or whatever you say. I know, I say, isn't it amazing? Janice shakes her head and looks at Mom a bit reproachfully. I can't believe you've been keeping this a secret from us, Jane. We wanted Becky to be the first to know, says Mom, patting me on the shoulder. Hazelnut whirl, Janice? Lovely, says Janice, taking a biscuit from the plate. And sitting down. She nibbles it thoughtfully for a few moments, then looks up. What I don't understand is, why did this girl get in touch after all this time? There was a very good reason, I say with an air of solemn drama, It's because we've got a hereditary disease. Janice gives a little scream. A disease? Jane, you never told me that. It's not a disease, says Mom. Becky, you know it's not a disease, it's a factor. A factor? Echoes Janice, looking even more horrified than before. What kind of factor? I can see her eyeing her hazelnut whirl as though she's afraid it might contaminate her. It's not life-threatening, laughs Mom. It's just a blood disorder, which can be a risk in certain situations. In surgery, for example, the blood clots too thickly. Don't, Janice winces. I can't bear talking about blood. The doctors told Jess she should warn other members of her family to get tested, and that was the spur. She'd always known she had a father somewhere, but didn't know his name. So she asked her mother who her long-lost father was. Janice chimes in avidly as though she's following a Ruth Rendell miniseries on the telly. Her mother is dead, explains Mom. Dead? Exclaims Janice, looking appalled. From the blood factor? No, Mom responds patiently, from a car crash. But her aunt had the name of Jessica's father written down in an old diary. So she got it out and gave it to Jessica. And what was the name? Breathes Janice. There's a pause. Mom, it was Graham, says Tom, rolling his eyes. Graham Bloomwood, obviously. Oh, yes, says Janice, looking almost let down. Of course it was. Well, goodness me, she exhales sharply. What a dreadful shock for all of you. We were in quite a state when we got the news, Mom admits. You know, that's why we didn't come to the Hawaiian quiz evening at the church. Graham didn't really have a migraine. I knew it, says Janice. I said to Martin at the time, something's not right with the Bloomwoods. But I had no idea it was a long-lost family member. Well, says Mom comfortingly, how could you? Janice is silent for a moment, taking it all in. Then suddenly she stiffens and lays a hand on Mom's arm. Jane, just be careful. Has this girl laid any claim to Graham's fortune? Has he altered his will in her favor? Okay. Janice has definitely been watching too many TV murder mysteries. Janice, says Mom with a laugh. No, it's nothing like that. As it happens, Jess's family is, she lowers her voice discreetly, rather well off. Ah, breathes Janice. Mom lowers her voice still further. They're rather big in frozen food. Oh, I see, says Janice. So she's not all alone in the world then. Oh, no, says Mom, back to normal. She's got a stepfather and 2 brothers. Or is it 3? But no sisters, I chime in. We've both had that gap in our life, that unfulfilled longing. Everyone turns to look at me. Have you had an unfulfilled longing, Becky? Asks Janice. Oh, yes, definitely. I take a pensive sip of coffee. Looking back, I think I always somehow knew I had a sister. Really, love? Mom says in surprise. You never mentioned it. I never said anything. I give Janice a brave smile, but deep down I knew. Goodness, says Janice. How did you know? I felt it in here, I say, clasping my hands to my chest. It was as if a part of me was missing. I make a sweeping gesture with my hand and make the mistake of catching Luke's eye. Which particular part of you is missing, he says, with apparent interest. Not a vital organ, I hope. Gosh, she has no heart, none. Last night he kept reading out bits from my long-lost sister's book, then looking up and saying, you cannot be serious. The soulmate part, actually, I shoot back. Thanks, he raises his eyebrows. Not that kind of soulmate, a sisterly soulmate. What about Susie, says Mom. looking over in surprise. She's been like a sister to you, surely. She's such a dear girl. Friends come and go, I say, looking away. She's not like family. She doesn't understand me like a true sister would. Janice looks at Mom sympathetically. You're being very brave, dear, but you must have suffered when you found out. It was difficult, says Mom, sitting down at the table. I can't pretend it wasn't. Although, of course, the affair happened long before Graham met me. Of course, Janice says hastily. Of course it did. I wasn't for a moment suggesting you... She breaks off, flustered, and takes a gulp of coffee. And in some ways, Mum pauses, stirring her drink with a rueful smile. In some ways, it was to be expected. Graham was quite the Don Juan when he was younger. It's no wonder he found women throwing themselves at him. That's right, Janice says doubtfully. Dad, Don Juan. I try to picture him standing at some glamorous bar with his 70s mustache and a wide pattern tie, surrounded by gorgeous women drinking martinis. Then my gaze drifts out the window to see him coming over the lawn toward the back door. His graying hair is all tousled, his face is red, and even though I've told him a million times not to, he's wearing socks inside his sandals. It's weird. Thing to picture. Beck's telling her dad not to wear socks inside his sandals. Oh, no, then her gaze drifts out to the window. So he actually was. She was. Never mind. Women could never resist him, says Mom. That's the truth of it. She brightens a little. But we're having therapy to help us through the crisis at the new Holistic Health Center in Wood Street. Therapy? I echo in astonishment. Are you serious? Absolutely, says Dad, coming in at the back door. We've had 3 sessions already. She's a very nice girl, our therapist, says Mom, although a bit nervy, like all those young people. Wow, I had no idea Mom and Dad were having therapy. But it makes sense. I mean, bloody hell. How would I feel if Luke suddenly announced that he had a long-lost daughter? Therapy, Janice is saying. I can hardly believe it. We have to be realistic, Janice, says Mom. You can't expect this kind of revelation to have no repercussions. A discovery of this scale can tear a family apart, agrees Dad, popping a hazelnut whirl into his mouth. It can rock the very foundations of a marriage. Goodness, Janice claps a hand over her mouth, looking from Mom to Dad and back with wide eyes. What sort of repercussions are you expecting? There will be anger, I expect, Mom says knowledgeably. Recriminations. Coffee, Graham? Yes, thanks, love, he beams at her. Therapy's a pile of crap, says Tom suddenly. I tried it with Lucy. We all turn and look at him. He's holding a cup of coffee in both hands and glowering at us over the top of it. The therapist is a woman, he adds, as though that explains everything. I think they often are, love, Mum says cautiously. She took Lucy's side. She said she could understand her frustrations. Tom's hands clench more tightly around his cup. What about my frustrations? Lucy was supposed to be my wife, but she wasn't interested in any of my projects. Not the conservatory, not the ensuite bathroom. I love your summer house, Tom, I cut in quickly. It's very big. In fact, it's monstrous. I nearly died when I saw it out the window this morning. It's 3 stories high with gables and a deck. We're just a bit worried about the planning regulations, aren't we, says Janice, nervously glancing at Tom. We're worried it might be classified as a residence. Well, it's a real achievement, I say encouragingly, to build something like that. I enjoy working with wood, Tom says in a gruff voice. Wood doesn't let you down. He drains his cup. In fact, I'd better get back to it. Hope it all goes well. As the back door closes behind him, there's an awkward silence. He wants to make a boat next, says Janice, looking strained. A boat on the lawn. Janice, have another coffee, Mum says soothingly. Shall I put a splash of sherry in it? Janice looks torn. Better not, she says at last, not before 12. She rootles in her handbag and produces a little pill which she pops into her mouth. Then she zips up her bag again and smiles brightly. So, what does Jessica look like? She's nice looking, begins Mom. Isn't she, Graham? Very nice looking, says Dad. Tall, slim, dark hair, adds Mom. Quite a reserved girl, if you know what I mean. I'm listening avidly as they describe her. Although I glimpsed her in the street that day we got back, the sunlight was so bright, and I was so distracted by Mom and Dad's weird behavior, I only got a vague impression. So all week I've been trying to build on that image. Mom and Dad keep saying how tall and slim she is, so I've kind of pictured her like Courtney Cox. All willowy and elegant, in a white silk trouser suit maybe. I keep having visions of our first meeting. We'll fling our arms around each other, and then she'll smile at me, brushing away the tears, and I'll smile back, and we'll have an instant connection. Like we already know each other and understand each other better than anyone else in the world. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll turn out that we'll have sisterly psychic powers. Or maybe we'll be like the twins I read about in Long Lost Sisters, who were separated at birth but went on to have the same jobs and marry men with the same name. I'm gripped by this idea. Maybe it'll turn out that Jessica is a personal shopper too, and is married to a man called Luke. She'll turn up in exactly the same Marc Jacobs jacket as me, and we can go on breakfast TV and everyone will say, oh. Except she's not a personal shopper, I suddenly remember. She's training to be a doctor. Doctor of geography. No, geology. But then, didn't I once think about training to be a doctor? I mean, that can't be just coincidence. And where does she live? Janice is asking. In the north, says Mom. A village called Scully in Cumbria. The north, says Janice, with as much trepidation as though Mom said the North Pole. It's a long way to travel. What time does she arrive? Well, Mom looks at the clock and frowns. That's a point. She should have arrived by now. Graham, love, what time does Jess's train get in? I thought it was about now. Dad's brow wrinkles. Maybe I should phone the station, see if there's been a problem. I'll do it if you like, says Luke, looking up from the newspaper. She did say she'd phone, Mum begins, as Dad goes out to the hall telephone. Suddenly the doorbell rings. We all stare at each other, frozen. A few moments later, Dad's voice comes from the hall. I think it's her. Oh my gosh, she's here. My new sister, my new soulmate. Slip away, says Janice. Let you have your precious family moment. She squeezes my hand, then disappears out the back door. Let me just tidy my hair, says Mom, hurrying out to the hall mirror. Quick, I say, where's the present? Here it is, says Luke, handing me the cellophane-wrapped gift basket. And Becky... He puts a hand on my arm. What? I say impatiently. What is it? I know you're excited to meet Jessica, he says. And so am I, but remember, you are strangers. I just take it easy. We're not strangers, I say in astonishment. She's my sister. We've got the same blood in us. Honestly, doesn't Luke know anything? I hurry out to the hall, clutching the basket. Through the frosted glass pane of the front door, I can see an indistinct, blurry figure. "By the way," says Mom as we advance toward the door, "she likes to be called Jess." "Ready?" says Dad with a twinkle. This is the moment. I quickly adjust my jacket, smooth down my hair, and put on my widest, most welcoming and loving smile. Dad reaches for the handle and pulls back the front door with a flourish. And there, standing on the doorstep, is my sister.